Underwhelm, it's the opposite of overwhelm. When you couldn't be bothered to do something, it's very different from when you don't think you're able to do it. Now let's review. Underwhelm is when it's dull. Same old, tedious, boring, having to do the same repetitive tasks over and over. But it's some of the thoughts and feelings in underwhelm that need thinking about. Things like, this is beneath me, I'm better than this, who do they think I am? They're treating me like I'm an idiot. Maybe this is all I'm worth. These are some of the worrisome messages which we'll look at later. But before we look a bit deeper, here are some of the immediate actions to get yourself going. First, create some challenge. Make it interesting. We know the problem, the task is too boring or unimportant, but try not to hear that as a problem, but as a message. A problem is something you have to stop and fix. And that's what procrastination is. A message is something that you act on and move on. So clearly one message is, how can I make this less boring? Just as with overwhelm, you can divide up the task. But in underwhelm, add some novelty to the experience. And be a bit playful. Do the task in different locations. Shift the order around, as long as that's safe and practical. Oh, I don't know, wear a different shirt when you do each part. The need is to get the task done. The trick is to get out of being stuck. Be inventive. Make it interesting. Now, here's something that's so obvious we tend to miss it. Accept that it's boring. Accept that you're bored. Let's get on and change that attitude. And you can start that by redefining your goals or maybe re-establishing your purpose. In marriage, some folk renew their vows. It's a great way to stop falling into underwhelm. What way can you do that in business? Come on, be inventive, make it meaningful, make it fun. You can also think about how you'll be rewarded when the job is completed. Procrastination is a huge time waster. What could you do with some extra time? Time with family, more time for social activities, time for personal development and learning, more time with your partner. Come on, getting the job done gives you more time, and that's lifetime. And finally, what about the benefits for others? Have you forgotten about how this task, boring though it might be, will help other people, help them move forward, solve their difficulty? It's not so much that we get selfish, but we do kind of get self-concerned. Reopen up your appreciation to some of the other people involved. How does what you are doing make a difference for others? It can be hard to find yourself in a place where you don't really want to be. I remember when I was a teenager, I knew an immigrant who escaped from war-torn Europe. He was a successful opera singer there, but he wasn't able to sing professionally here. To get by, he opened a delicatessen with a sandwich bar. He would sing while he made you a sandwich. It was unbelievable. He made his life meaningful. He turned his disappointment and his underwhelm and his new life into an entertainment for everyone. He found a message in his problem, and that gave him something to respond to, and he took action. So do you have a message in your problem of underwhelmed procrastination? I'm going to describe a few possibilities. Maybe one is exactly for you. Maybe it's a combination, but you also may have some other ones. This may be a good time to ask yourself some serious questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Reflect on this. Take a moment, think about it. In relation to your needs and wants, and also the needs and wants of those around you. Why are you doing what you're doing? When you took on this work or obligation, I'm sure it was a really good idea at the time, but times have changed. Is it still a good idea? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe the world has changed and you haven't. I'm not talking about just menial types of jobs, but some of the big jobs and the high pay packet jobs have lots of underwhelming activities. In a workshop for CEOs doing an exercise based on this very question, a very high flyer said, I got into this job and then in a blink it was 10 years later. Why are you doing what you're doing? Okay, so now, how do you feel about what you're doing? I've heard people say, I've been doing this for a long time. Where's my reward? But what are they really saying? Is it time for you to move up or move on? Are you worried about rocking the boat? Well, fair enough, but why? Think about things like this. Go back to the dartboard exercise. Is there someone or somewhere or something that is getting in your way from realizing what your message is really about? Okay, one last thing. It's a bit uncomfortable, but maybe we have to face it. Have you got an overinflated ego? Is your opinion of yourself a little over-realistic? Maybe you're just a bit spoiled. Now you've been told to get your hands dirty and do something less glamorous. You're throwing a bit of an adult tantrum. That's okay, because what do we learn from it? There's no better time than when you're in underwhelm to have a good look in the mirror and see where you need some new energy. What things are in need of a kickstart? When overwhelm is the problem, everything's getting too chaotic. But in underwhelm, things are just getting so rigid, static, and you need some stimulation. This can be a great time to get some further education. But instead of overwhelm, where you need to learn skills to cope, in underwhelm, you need to learn new skills so that you can change, so you can move on and maybe up. Underwhelm is more like a rut than a wall. It's time to step out. So for underwhelm, you can take immediate actions, like spicing things up, making things interesting, accepting that the job may be tedious, but you're letting yourself get bored. Think about what you will do and all the time you'll save by getting it done. Think about the good you're doing for others. They're your great immediate actions. But you can also try to see the message in the problem. What are you trying to tell yourself? Is it time to move on or move up? Is there someone or something or some place that is getting in your way? Repeat the dartboard exercise. Do you need some self-development to make a positive change? This is the time to learn new skills and expand yourself. It's time to take action. So, now we've seen the way out of overwhelm and underwhelm, and we need to get a bit personal and now look at the perfectionist. That's up next.